Alright, so let's review Bristol real quick. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter review because I don't think there was a lot to talk about in the race. Stage 1 and 2, it was Kyle Larson who dominated stage 1. I mean, he led every single lap. But I kind of knew, I think everyone knew that it probably wouldn't sustain just because of the track. The track would change so much. Whoever was dominant at the beginning might not be dominant at the end. And Kyle Larson's car did fade a little bit. It wasn't as dominant as the beginning. Truex looked like the strongest car to me, but we'll get into Truex a little bit later. Truex did win stage 2, but the big story of this race was speeding penalties. Kyle Larson got a speeding penalty, I think, the second to last pit stop, and Truex got a speeding penalty on the last pit stop, and that is what cost them the race, really. Now, what this review is going to be mostly about is just the track and my opinion on it, because I thought the racing today was good, and the racing was, let me put it in two perspectives. You have a driver's race, and you have a fan's race. So what the fans want to see and what the drivers like to see and like to do. From a driver's perspective, very good race. You have options. You can go high, you can go low, you can start high, cut all the way to the bottom, you can run the middle, you can pinch people down, you can put the bumper to them if they're on the bottom. You could get them loose a little bit. So from a driver's perspective, you have everything you want to do, and that's not a problem. From a fan's perspective, I miss old Bristol, and that's just my opinion. I don't know what you guys think. Maybe you guys do like this version of Bristol with the grip strip. Maybe you guys like the version of Bristol a couple of years ago where it was just a one-lane track around the High Line. Or maybe you guys feel like me and you like the old version of Bristol without progressive banking, and just the concrete on the bottom. To me, Bristol and Martinsville, the two short tracks, I feel like they were distinctly great because there were one-lane tracks. And usually in racing, we don't like one-lane tracks because you can't pass. But at Martinsville and Bristol, the point of passing was to move people out of your way, or to be so good coming off the corner that you can get a run and then set the move up. That was the point of passing at these short tracks. And now we've kind of taken that away by giving the drivers options on these really short tracks. I mean, Martinsville is still the same, which we all love Martinsville. But Bristol, we've changed it because we want to give drivers options, and now the bottom lane and the top lane halfway through the race basically become equal. You can run either lane, and I don't like that because that's not Bristol. And the Bristol I knew and the Bristol I always loved was the short track racing, the beat and banging, the multiple cautions, but just because that's how you have to pass. But if you were talented enough to pass, you didn't have to put the bumper to someone all the time. You could just get really close, set them up, diamond the corner a little bit, get underneath them, and pass them that way, and then they could get freight trained. Or if you just didn't have the car to do it, you could just put the bumper. Today's race, I think I saw Logano put the bumper to Johnson there at the end, but I've never seen such less bumping at Bristol in my life. Even when it was a one-lane track around the top. People would be a little bit more reluctant to bump because you bumped them into the wall, but they were still bumping, and there was still a lot of slide jobs. Today, I didn't even see a lot of slide jobs. I saw Kyle Larson do a couple because he's the best driver, basically, when it comes to slide jobs and dirt track racing style. But other than that, I didn't even see a lot of slide jobs. I just saw it just wasn't Bristol. And it's good racing from a driver's perspective. From a fan perspective, though, Bristol had a distinct image. And when you raced at Bristol, you knew what you were doing, and you knew what you were going to get into, and you knew tempers were going to flare. And today it was just, there was not a lot of it. We had a couple of incidents with Junior and Kyle Busch, and not temper wise, but just they had bad days. Kurt Busch has been struggling since the since his Daytona 500 win, so hopefully he gets back on track. Danica Patrick wrecked again, not her fault though, but I like to just pick on Danica just because I hope she runs better eventually. But that's really my race review. I don't have a lot more to add on to it, just that I feel like it was a big mistake to change this track back, and I think it was 2008. I think it was when it was first changed. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but I grew up with a fantastic Bristol that I loved dearly, and even as a driver, I loved Bristol. Like when I would, whether it was a video game or something, just having the ability to really set up a move on someone in true short track fashion. It takes a lot of skill when it's a one lane track And in short track, I know we could sound hypocritical because we don't want one lane tracks when we go to Texas, and we don't want a one lane track and we repave Kentucky, but that's a mile and a half where aero plays a big deal. At Martinsville and Bristol, aero does not play a deal. You can get your car completely messed up with no rear bumper, no the front bumper all caved in, the sides all caved in. It doesn't matter. The car will still drive the same, and aero does not matter. So it just takes skill to get underneath a guy or move a guy, and get without making them angry. It takes a lot of skill to do that, and that was a lot of fun as a driver. And then you had to prevent yourself from sliding up, and that was the Bristol I knew. That was the Bristol I loved. That was the Bristol a lot of people loved, and it seems like that's the Bristol that even the Bristol executives want to get back, because they're putting this grip strip down there, and they're trying so hard to get the grip strip to work to nulligate the top side. And I understand if you guys are wondering why they won't revert it back, is because it costs a lot of money to put progressive banking in. It would cost a lot of money again to take the progressive banking out, and all that stuff, and just reconfigure it again. You have to wait another probably 10 years to if you wanted to make that change, to reconfigure it again and put it back to what the way it was, which I hope they will do in the future, a long time down the road from now. But yeah, it was a disappointing race to me. If I had to give it a grade, I'd give it probably an average of a C. Don't get me wrong, it's a good race in terms of just like every other week, but Bristol was special. It was a special track. Whether you come for the Food City 500 in the spring, or the fall race at night, it was a special track, and it's lost its specialty. It's not. I don't look forward to Bristol anymore. I'm very glad it's not in the chase, because this Bristol I just do not look forward to. Martinsville is the best short track in NASCAR. It will always be the best short track in NASCAR, and they won't change that, and they know that. So, and now we're gonna get a night race in Martinsville. That is fucking amazing. Guys, what did you think about the race? I don't even know if I mentioned Jimmy Johnson won. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson won the race. I just, when I was watching the race, I was disappointed in what I was seeing. Just by racing style, it's the Bristol I miss. So I that's just a nostalgic thing in me. I miss the old Bristol. That's the Bristol I want. You guys don't have to agree with me. If you guys like this Bristol, I completely get it. From a driver's perspective, I completely get it. Whether drivers like it, it gives them options. But it's not Bristol. It's like if you went to Augusta Golf Club and you completely changed every hole at Augusta. It's still named Augusta, but it wouldn't feel like Augusta. So that's the difference. It just isn't. It's named Bristol. You still walk in there, it looks like Bristol, but it's not Bristol. Guys, if you like the video, make sure to hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I will see you guys later. Hope you're having a great day, and peace out.